A real surprise victory. Second youngest Tour de France champion ever. I believe today is his 22nd birthday. How did he do it?
Well, that's the question, Rosie. He's just a super talent. 1904 was the last time a young rider won it, younger than Tadej Pogačar. But I think just a small cycling nation like Slovenia, everybody was thinking his countryman Primož Roglič would win this. But on Saturday, just an amazing day. He had the best day of his life. And when you think Eddy Merckx, everybody thinks about cycling over the years of history. Eddy Merckx was the rider that everybody wanted to be, right, when they were younger, when they were growing up. And to win 3 jerseys, the last time someone won 3 jerseys was in fact Eddy Merckx, and Tadej Pogačar becomes the first rider to win the white jersey for the best young rider, the polka dot jersey for the best climber in the race, and the yellow jersey. Absolutely an amazing day for Slovenia. Tadej Pogačar, he's a real superstar.
But this time on Friday, it looked like Roglič had a win ahead, almost a minute ahead. It looked like he was going to be unbeatable, that it was his. So what went wrong?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think anybody knows what goes wrong. Sometimes in a 3-week tour, we see this. We saw this with Egan Bernal. We saw this with Nairo Quintana. Sometimes you have a bad day. But I think it wasn't that bad a day for Primož Roglič. I think Tadej Pogačar just had a really super day. When you consider Tom Dumoulin, Wout van Aert was up there in the final time trial. And you've got to remember that 5th place in that time trial on Saturday went to Primož Roglič. So he didn't have a terrible day. It's just Tadej Pogačar was so much better than everybody else. I do not think, I'm 53 now. In my years of cycling, I've been involved with cycling for about 40 years. I have never seen a day like cycling before. I think it was in 1989 when we had Laurent Fignon 50 seconds in front of the American Greg LeMond, and he overhauled that in the final day into Paris 25-kilometre time trial. But on Saturday, it was an amazing day, and it goes down in history. And in fact, I think it's going to be very difficult to repeat an amazing day.
Just very quickly, the other thing that it's made history for is it's happened during a pandemic. How much did the coronavirus crisis really change the dynamic of the race?
I think it did. For a lot of nations, you couldn't ride outdoors. You had to ride in a home trainer. And I think a lot of the more kind of mature, experienced riders really suffered. And I think for the first time, we're seeing a lot of debut stage winners in the Tour de France. We've seen Sam Bennett, the Irishman, create history in Irish cycling. And, you consider the last green jersey for Ireland was 1989 as well with Sean Kelly. So it was 41 years ago. There was so many firsts. And I think what the pandemic did and the lockdown did for a lot of the youngsters, they seem to be the most motivated. They seem to deal with the pressures of training indoors. Because it's not easy as a road cyclist to train indoors for hour after hour. So I think the young riders, which we've seen in this year's Tour de France, come to the fore. And, they just outstanding performances. And I think a lot of the kind of more mature riders have really suffered through this lockdown.